What's up, everyone? It's Bootman, and today we're diving into one of the hottest debates in the entire Marvel Rivals community, and that is whether or not strategists are still overpowered. A lot of players, especially in the higher ranks, are still calling for nerfs, but I'm here to explain why I think they're wrong. We're gonna be using stats, data, and just a little bit of common sense to show why strategists are actually in a pretty good spot and further nerfs are completely unnecessary. And before we dive into this video, I'm sure a lot of you are down there in the comment section typing away, but Chris, they already nerfed the strategist because of the triple healer meta. What are you talking about? Listen, I have plenty of other things I would much rather be doing, but people are still complaining about it. Whether it is YouTube, Twitch, or TikTok, I still see people complaining about the strength of strategists. So let's discuss. First, let's talk about who is actually driving this conversation. Some of the loudest voices calling for these nerfs are higher ranked players like Necros and Seagull. Both of them have videos that are getting a ton of views. Currently, at the time of recording this, the Necros video has over 240,000 views, and the Seagull video has over 270,000 views.
All this creates a super unengaging gameplay loop where both teams are sitting inside of a defensive ult, and then one runs out, and then there's another, and then that one runs out, and then there's a third one, and then whichever team ulted later will win because their ults to make them immortal expire later. I just don't think that particular combination of strategists is very fun to play against, and I think it needs to change sooner rather than later. I still think the game itself is really fun, even though it isn't balanced. And I don't think it necessarily needs to be perfectly balanced. Sorry, Thanos. However, this triple defensive ult thing definitely needs to go because it's way too strong.
And this is something that we need to discuss. I mentioned this in my video about Tim the Tatman ruining the reputation of Rocket Raccoon. These larger creators, they are creating this widespread conversation because a lot of people just hear somebody with some authority discussing something or complaining about something, and then they just go and parrot that information. What we need to do is try to be a little bit more objective and actually look at some of the data. And one of the first things that we need to look at is how many people are actually in some of the higher ranks. For example, Necros and Seagull, they are up there. We're not talking about their alt account, but these are players who are in ranks like Celestial and Eternity, which make up less than 0.5% of the entire ranked player base. So according to the most recent rank distribution data, Celestial 3 is just 0.31% of players. Celestial 2 is 0.10% of players. Celestial 1, a mere 0.04%. And Eternity and One Above All, combined, these are less than 0.06% of the player base. So let me ask all of you out there, should Marvel Rivals be balanced around such a tiny fraction of the community? Personally, I don't think so, but I do think it's an interesting conversation to be had. If I was a dev, I would not want to have to make these decisions because do you balance around, the larger portion of the player base who are just playing casually, they're playing quick match, or do you balance around the people who are playing more competitively in ranked? And then, are you going to further segment that and balance your game around the people in the very highest ranks and playing in these big money tournaments? Personally, I think that balancing the game around 0.5% of the player base would risk making the game a whole lot less fun and accessible for the other 99.5% of players. So let's look at the data. Across all the ranks, just including Platinum and above, so like Platinum, Diamond, Grandmaster, and Celestial, and Eternity, that's when the ranked play gets a little bit more serious, depending on where you're at. The triple strategist comps are not the highest win rates. In fact, they're consistently outperformed by more balanced team compositions. In Platinum, the highest win rate at 52.75% comes from the fully balanced 2-2-2 setup. That's 2 Vanguards, 2 Duelists, and 2 Strategists, not triple support. In Diamond, the balanced comp has a 52.89% win rate, while triple strategist comps hover around 42 to 43%. Even in Celestial, where the triple strategist comps are slightly more common, they still only have a 45.72% win rate compared to 52.96% for balanced comps. That trend continues all the way up to Eternity, where triple strategist comps are barely even picked. So If triple strategist is such a problem, why are the win rates so low? And why are people continuing to complain? Something I want everybody to really think about is what it is actually like to play as a strategist. So full transparency, I'm a strategist main. I dabble a little in Vanguard, but primarily I play strategist. All of my current Lord heroes are strategists, and all of my fellow strategists out there, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Because being a strategist isn't just all sunshine and healing. Strategists have quite a few issues to deal with. The first one being, they're constantly getting yelled at their team. You're always getting told, oh, you're not healing enough. Why aren't you healing? Where are you? Why aren't you healing? Even though you're constantly just being dove by the end of enemy team without any protection. That brings me up to my second point. You're not getting any backup. You're getting jumped by the enemy team, your teammates leave you to die, and then they're screaming at you, wondering where the heals are, even though they're the ones letting you die. Let's talk about why maybe these powerful ultimates might be necessary. In my opinion, it is the least that this game can do is to give strategists strong ultimates, not just to help their team, but maybe on the off chance while we're getting dove with no backup, maybe we can pop an ultimate and just get out of there for a second. I think the strategists do need some good healing abilities so they can get out of bad situations and help out their team. Because when you look at it, from what I've seen, the people calling for nerfs are primarily duelists and Vanguard players. And this is something that I've seen in multiple games. Before Marvel Rivals, I was making content for a game called Marvel Snap. It's a digital card game. And for those of you who don't know digital card games, sorry if this lingo doesn't make sense, but I'm a fan of tech cards. These are basically cards that counter other cards. Then there are people who enjoy these decks that play big, massive point slam cards. Well, tech cards counter those cards, and a lot of people who like the point slam cards complain about it. This is similar to when I see duelists and Vanguard players complaining about strategists, because what I hear, and I'm sure a lot of other strategist players hear, is, hey, I wanna do whatever I wanna do without anybody contesting me. I like playing a duelist, I like getting 40 to 50 frags, and when you pop your big defensive ultimate, I can't put those big numbers on the board, therefore I don't like it.
No, bro, triple support is so cooked. It's actually so cooked. Like, this is not good for the game, I think. Because I think as a whole, DPS characters are like more interesting and also more fun to play, and obviously more popular. So I think this is really for the game, like forcing people on triple support it.
It is like an insanely selfish way to think that everything in the game should be catered to your style of gameplay and what you want to accomplish rather than what everybody else in the server might want to do. This is a team-based game and balancing is necessary, so you do need counter for other things happening. Like, sorry if your Psylocke ult can't just team wipe the entire team, or maybe your Spider-Man ult isn't gonna wipe the entire team if somebody holds on to their Luna ult or their Mantis ult. Some of us wanna have some counters so we just don't get wrecked for the entire length of the match. Now, there is one point that I will semi-concede to, and that is that the powerful strategist ults might make the games last a little bit too long.
And I also have a bonus clip at the end of the video of the literal longest overtime I have ever been a part of in this game so far. It went on for over 3 minutes, which is absolutely insane. And if you guys still don't see a problem with this, well, then you're probably a strategist player, but that's okay because I still love you, even though you're completely wrong.
This clip from Necros is from a video where he was showing a match that took, I think, like 20 to 30 minutes. It was definitely on the longer side. And I will say, I do think it can hurt the game if the games are stretched out way too long. But here's the thing, I'm gonna let you in on a nasty little secret. These types of games are very few and far between. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I would bet that if you open up Marvel Rivals right now, you went into your match history where triple support is just running rampant, you let me know how many of your games are over 20 minutes. In fact, you know what? Let me know how many of your games are over 15 minutes. I guarantee it is a very, very small percentage of those games. So is that something that we should really be concerned about if it's not happening too often? If it does, it's usually because the match went into overtime, and even then, it's still pretty rare. So one of the last things I want to talk about, let's talk about why balancing the game around the top 0.5% of players isn't such a great idea. First, we gotta think about the skill gap. Something that's oppressive in Celestial might be completely manageable in Platinum. We also have to think about lower ranked strategists trying to solo queue their way up from like bronze and maybe hitting, platinum, diamond, or even grandmaster, because something we need to talk about, even though it's a touchy subject, is people with alt/smurf accounts. We all know for a fact there are people who are in much higher ranks playing in the lower ranks on separate accounts. Have you ever been a strategist playing against somebody who is clearly not in the correct rank and just wrecking your face with a Black Panther diving you every 5 seconds? Because I have. So it's kind of crazy to be like, hey, sorry strategist players, I don't like how this happens at the very top ranks, so I'm gonna make your job even more difficult at the lower ranks while we have people on alternate accounts. But listen, I know that's a tricky subject, and I do plan on making a separate video around the conversations around Smurf accounts, alternate accounts, so make sure you subscribe. You're not gonna wanna miss that. But lastly, I want to talk about the community impact, because I don't know about you, but I do not think that alienating 99.5% of your player base to appease the 0.5% is a great long-term strategy. Games thrive when they're accessible and enjoyable for everyone, not just the elite few. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. So you all let me know down in the comments below. Do you agree, disagree? Do you think I'm crazy? I wanna hear from you. Anyways, that's all I got for this video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, ring that notification bell. I got a ton of Marvel Rivals content in the works, and you don't wanna miss it, all right? Anyways, other than that, have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.